So, all right, let's get to it. Let's get to it. So, what's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name's Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. Gonna be kicking up some live streams every time I can, just to come and chop it up with the people from time to time. Go check out all the new movie reviews that we're dropping. My wife and I just released the one for The Skin I Live In from Antonio Banderas. It's on the channel right now. Very dope movie. Very interesting conversation we had. We're going to be releasing the Amistad one right after this live stream. We're going to record it. That should be fun too. And yeah, stay tuned for more political commentary. I know last week I took some time off, but your boy ain't fall off. I'm back here talking real spicy. So y'all see the title for this live stream, and let's get into it. This young man that you see right here is not the next Little Wayne. He is not some SoundCloud struggle rapper. He is not some boy who we should just dismiss by how he looks. What we are looking at, what we are witnessing right now, is the birth, the resurrection of Martin Luther King. We are seeing a Malcolm X reincarnated right in front of our eyes. We have a civil rights icon walking among us, and we, as Black Americans, should do everything in our power to protect this young man and fight for his cause and advocate for his cause, because what he is going through is what so many other young Black men like me, like what I went through growing up in the rural, white supremacist South of America, where they dictate our lives, dictate how we wear our hair, dictate how we wear our clothes, dictate how we speak, over police us, hurt us in so many ways, psychologically, socially, spiritually, physically, so many ways. They try to beat down the Black man in America. But Darryl George is a part of that next generation of freedom fighters. And we should do whatever we can to make sure that this young man is successful in continuing his education, continuing to grow and prosper, continuing to be a great person, a role model. He is somebody I want to be like when I grow up. And I will never be his age, because he is much, much younger than me, almost half my age. But I look up to this young man because he is very brave, very, very brave young man. So if you don't know, if you are Black in the South, going to public schools, going to public high schools, going to public middle schools, elementary schools, you cannot wear your hair like Darryl George is wearing it. You cannot have locks. You cannot have braids. You cannot braid your locks. You sometimes they won't even let you wear afros. You can't put your hair back in a ponytail. All the styles that God has allowed us to do because he blessed us with beautiful 4C hair. I wish I had my hair, but you know, I'm balling right now on y'all. But God has made Black people so amazing, so beautiful, that we're able to do styles with our hair that other people could only dream. We can make our hair straight, but they can never get the natural 4C. We can braid our locks, but these people, the other side, the dominant society, whenever they lock their hair, it looks like they just got through playing in the bushes. They look nasty, they look dirty when we do it, and all we do is look fresh and clean. And his style, he is very much fresh, styling, and cleaning. And this young man should not be denied an education because of his hair. Period. Period. But this is the type of society that the white supremacists create for Black people in America. This is the type of society that some people say we are justified in having our own oppression continued upon us because we have some sort of culture that is wrong with us. I want to say right here and now, there is nothing wrong with this young man's hair. It is not ghetto. It is not hood. It is a beautiful hairstyle. It is something that we should cherish, that we are blessed to be able to do. And anybody who looks at this young man and thinks that he does not deserve to get an education, graduate from high school, live his dreams, live to the best of his ability in the freest nation in the world, in a nation where you're supposed to be able to be whatever you want to be, you're a sick person and you hate Black people. You hate Black people. And for all the people who come on my channel and think I only talk about racism because racism does not exist, they think I'm just making up stuff. They just think that in this world that we live in, Black men are not constantly harassed. There is no attack on Black life or Black expression. Explain this story. Explain this story about this 18-year-old boy who has missed months of his education, who has been held back from his education just because he has a naturally Black hairstyle. Somebody explain that. If that's not racism, I don't know what is. The standard for racism when it comes to white folks is you would have to see a man in a KKK dress burn a cross on your house, yell nigger outside of your window 4 or 6 times, shoot at you, and rape you before you can even consider that to be racism. This is what we are fighting against. This is white supremacy in play. And Darryl George is a very brave young man. He is a soldier. He is a soldier in the fight against white supremacy. And I love this young man. Now, let's get to the story. So, this young man is going to high school in Texas. This is where his high school is located in this very small county in East Texas, called in a city called Mount Bellevue. Right? I'm going to read the story about what happened to Darryl George, a lot of the articles about him, because the story has been progressing. And I feel so bad that I have not covered this story before. So, east of Houston, a fight over a black teenager's hair takes center stage. After Hurricane Katrina, Darryl George moved her family to Texas. When school officials suspended her son for refusing to cut his hair, it unleashed a storm that shows no sign of easing. I didn't even know that before, but if he left Louisiana for Texas, I love this man even more. Once again, anywhere a Louisianian goes, we always turn up, we always make change, we always stand out, and we be the best. There is nothing a Louisianian has not tried to accomplish that has not been done. So shout out to Darryl George, another great Louisianian, a civil rights icon. Look at this smart young man. I cannot wait until he leads Gen Z to the promised land. I cannot wait until he does it. Darryl, we are with you. We are with you, brother. Hallelujah. Hamdulillah. Let's get into the story. So here's Darryl George and his mother, Darryl George, at Barbers Hill High School in Mount Bellevue on September 18th. So, when the levees broke, submerging much of New Orleans under 7 feet of brackish floodwater in the summer of 2005, Darryl George was 7 months pregnant. She sought refuge on a narrow bridge overlooking the city, where she remained without food or water for 2 days until she was rescued by a military helicopter. Buses would shuttle her and thousands of other New Orleanians to Texas, where she has lived ever since, eventually settling in the town of Mount Bellevue, about 30 miles east of Houston. We have to remember how big of a tragedy Hurricane Katrina was. 2005, I was about 14 or 15 years old when that tragedy happened. I was watching it unfold on the news. We were hearing the stories about white vigilantes shooting black people who were, going into the Walmarts or the Targets, trying to just scavenge for food and stuff like that. We heard about the stories of black people being left to die on top of the rooftops and stuff like that. Thousands of people lost their lives and lost everything that they loved when the levees broke in New Orleans. This was a tragedy. And Kanye West was absolutely right when he said, when Hurricane Katrina, people, because the United States government does not care about our people. Die in New Orleans. This woman stayed on a bridge for 2 days waiting. Then the helicopters come. Notice, none of those stories of tragedy that happened in New Orleans, you can't find any white folks that went through. None at all. Gonna continue here. The baby she was carrying when she was evacuated is now 18 years old and at the center of a controversy that has garnered national attention after officials at Barbers Hill High School suspended the teenager for violating the district's strict dress code by refusing to cut his locks, which he wears atop his head in a common style known as a barrel roll. In August, at the beginning of the school year, Darryl George was forced into in-school suspension for having hair that was not earlobe length or shorter, as required for all male students. In suspension, Darryl was deprived of hot lunches and forced to sit on a stool for 8 hours a day doing schoolwork without teacher instruction, his family says. But this month, because of his refusal to alter his appearance, the high school junior was removed from school entirely and placed in an alternative disciplinary education program where he spends his days in a classroom with students from various grade levels, according to his family. Though he's been isolated from his classmates and teachers, the soft-spoken teenager appears calm and resolute in person, despite being treated, he says, like someone in jail. Very brave young man. Very brave young man. He didn't bend, he didn't break, he didn't fold. He wants to retain his black identity, and that should be okay in a U.S. public school. For anybody who's going to leave a stupid comment or say this to themselves or leave a dislike on this video, because I'm speaking up for this young black man who wants to wear his hair in his own goddamn way in a public school where it is not bothering anybody or preventing him from getting an education. Because of all the people that hate black people, I'm going to tell you to suck my big black dick. And I'm going to say, stand up, Darryl George. Don't cut your hair. Let your hair grow to your ass if you want. Do it, man. Do it. Because these white supremacists continue to try to break us. Growing up in Monroe, Louisiana, I wanted to have my hair in braids. I wanted to have locks. I couldn't do none of that. None of that, because my racist ass principal, Mr. Vadrine, said that anybody who comes to school with braids or locks or any other alternative hairstyle for young black men, they will not be able to come to school. Doesn't matter about their grades, doesn't matter about their attendance. None of y'all can come to Neville High School, the high school I graduated from, said Mr. Vadrine, and his coon-ass vice principal, Mr. Coach Rankins. All them people said that we couldn't be ourselves at this school. And now here I am, 33 years old, and I regret, I look back and I hate that I never had the chance to stunt on these hoes with some long ass permed out hair, or have them braids that touch the back of my neck, or even lock up earlier. And I could have had more hang time before eventually I had to cut it. That is a shame. That is a shame. And the biggest tragedy of all, is that going to high school, the white boys could wear their hair any type of way. Blatant racism right in your face. Blatant racism and double standards right in your face. Austin, Joshua, Davis all got to come to school with their bangs over their eyes, hair to their shoulders, all sorts of shit. But my black ass come to school thinking that maybe I could braid my shit up. No, I can't do that, right? This is America. This is America. Let's go ahead and continue right here. All right. So last month, Darisha and her Houston attorney, Ali Booker, filed a civil rights lawsuit against Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton for failing to enforce a new law barring race-based hair discrimination, as well as a formal complaint with the Texas Education Agency alleging that Darryl was being harassed by school officials when her son's in-school suspension began. Darisha thought the issue would be resolved within a few days. More than 2 months later, it drags on. This is holding back tears during a recent interview. When Katrina hit, we knew it would eventually be over, and there was a light at the end of the tunnel. This time around, it's been months, and this storm doesn't seem like it's ever going to end. It will not end as long as black people remain in the United States of America and white supremacy exists, especially in the legislature, dominate the school districts, outnumber us and outwit us and out gerrymander us from having political power. So of course we're always going to be living in a constant nightmare, a hellhole in the United States of America, which is why I encourage all black people to get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. And I'm cursing on my streams now again because YouTube doesn't make any sense. So I'm blowing up this channel right now. Who cares? A close-knit family that never longed for the spotlight. The Georges say they never imagined they'd be in a legal fight with the school district. They say they're refusing to back down because their hair reflects their heritage. And at its core is an expression of strength, courage, and freedom. The fact that Darryl's locks are pinned to the top of his head, they say, is further evidence that his hair doesn't violate the district's dress code. This is actually a very important point. It is very closely tied to New Orleans heritage, Louisiana heritage, because I can tell you right now, I'm telling you right now, before about 30 or 40 years ago, having locks was considered like you were a part of like the conscious community in Black America. I'm talking about the entirety of Black America. There was no place in the United States where having locks was not associated with consciousness up until about the mid 2000s. The first people to start locking up their hair and doing like the thin locks and the locks that were styled up, braiding the locks sort of like Darryl George right here. These were New Orleanians. Facts, facts, facts. Anybody want to fight me or dispute me about that? Pull your black ass on camera and you tell me when the locks began. But I'm telling you, throughout the 70s, 80s, 90s, the only people who had locks were inspired by like the Rastas or like the conscious community, pro-black community, and their locks were not like Darryl George's or what we see now, how so many people have locks and they do them in so many different styles. It wasn't until New Orleans started doing it, I would say in like the late 90s, early 2000s, that started the lock trend. And Wayne was a big part of it. Some people are going to say, oh, the niggas in Florida were doing locks too, but they got the wicks. In Florida, they got them big ass wicks where they only have 3 or 4 locks on top of their head, and that's it. Definitely having locks is a part of New Orleans tradition, because I'm going to tell you something. Because we grew up in racist ass North Louisiana, which is basically like Arkansas, we had to live under strict white supremacist control. So no locks, no braids, no perms, no long hair at school, especially for black men. Go into the schools, none at all, period. But I guess in New Orleans, they got a different style, they got a different swag, and they are not dominated by the white supremacists in that sort of way, because New Orleans is a more liberal city within red ass, conservative ass, retarded ass Louisiana. So the niggas in New Orleans were going to school with locks or growing out their locks all the time. And if you went to New Orleans back like in the late 90s, early 2000s, you would see a whole bunch of niggas with locks. Facts, facts, facts. All different styles of locks. They had the blonde tips, red tips, all sorts of styles. Big, many locks in their head. It is definitely a part of New Orleans heritage. So he is standing up not only for his blackness, but he's standing up for New Orleans and Louisiana right here by saying it represents his heritage, which is absolutely true. And now that was something that you won't get on any other YouTube channel, because there aren't any other black YouTubers covering these types of stories and being absolutely real with y'all. They just want to cover this from the civil rights perspective, but they're not talking about the cultural perspective of this too. I'm going to continue here. So, as the legal battle drags on, Darisha is consumed with worry about her son's well-being. Without instruction from the appropriate teachers, she fears that he is falling behind his classmates, putting his graduation in jeopardy. She also worries about his mental health. Like so many parents raising black sons and daughters in small-town America, she knew it was only a matter of time before her child was forced to confront racism. But she didn't expect that racism to come from an institution that was supposed to support him. I have to see the hurt in my son's eyes and the fears that he's experiencing every day, she said, prompting Darryl to put his arm behind his mother's shoulder, pulling her close as she began to cry. I try not to show how much it's hurting me because I need to stay strong for my family. But for a mother, knowing your child is the victim of racism every single day and he's in pain in a place where he's supposed to feel safe, that's torture, literally torture, literally torture. They are torturing the minds, the souls, the spirits of black people by saying that we cannot live our normal lives. We cannot grow our hair, our normal ways without some sort of sacrifice. We have to sacrifice our education, our public education, which all of our tax dollars pay for, by cutting our hair. But people want to come in my comments and say there is no such thing as racism in the world. Dumbasses want to jump in my comments and say there is no such thing as anti-black discrimination in the world. But you got a young black man not able to go to motherfucking school in motherfucking America because of his goddamn hair. Shut the fuck up. All the motherfuckers jumping in my comments talking real spicy to me, but y'all ain't got nothing to say to Darryl George. Y'all ain't got nothing to say to a young black man like Simon Hill and all the other niggas like me who grew up in racist ass Mississippi, Texas, Kansas, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia. None of that. Y'all ain't got nothing to say about what we're going through every single day. Every single motherfucking day. So suck my big black dick, nigga. We gonna turn up and we gonna call out all this racism that's happening in 2024, and we gonna represent for my niggas like Darryl George. Straight up. Straight up. Facts. Gonna continue here. So this school year was supposed to be different. In 2020, school officials at Barbers Hill suspended 2 other black male students, DeAndre Arnold and Caden Bradford, for refusing to cut their dreadlocks, drawing widespread condemnation from athletes and politicians around the country. The school district's policy, which was eventually overturned by a federal district court in Houston that same year, spurred the Texas legislature to pass of the Crown Act in May. The law bans employers and schools from discriminating against individuals based on their natural hair texture or protective hairstyles, such as braids, locks, and twists. Advocates hailed the bill's passage as a step forward in uprooting systemic racism and protecting cultural diversity across Texas. But the law does not mention hair length. That's a bullshit technicality. Of course, if you're growing out black hair, it could grow to any length in any way. Now, his dreads, his locks definitely are very long, the way that he has them tied up like this. And listen, when I had locks, I love this hairstyle. I had my locks, I used to try to braid my stuff all the time because it looks so cool and it's so fresh. But you definitely got to have some hang time to do it. So Darryl George is actually making a sacrifice by putting his hair up in braids like this. It's actually a sacrifice to put it up in braids like this because number one, it's hella tight. His shit is fresh. I know his scalp is probably screaming. Maybe that's why I lost my lock so quick because I tied my stuff up so much that it does, pull on the roots and stuff like that. It can thin out your hair. It's not a great protective style to do it all the time. I'm keeping it absolutely real, at least from my experience. Maybe I had a bad hair barber, I mean, a hairdresser. I didn't have the right woman to take care of it, but you get what I'm saying, right? He's actually making a sacrifice putting it up like this because if he took his hair down, it would probably reach to like his chest section or something like that. It's definitely longer than that. But calling out hair length when we are talking about hair discrimination against black people is absolutely ridiculous, showing once again that the white supremacists have no way, they do not stop at any point. They will find a way to always try to harass us for no reason, just because they are insistent on demeaning us and dehumanizing us. And by the way, the Crown Act or something like that needs to be passed nationally. It should be a federal crime to discriminate against black people from wearing our hair in normal ways or in fashions. I really think this all comes from the white supremacists being jealous. I really think it comes from the white supremacists being jealous that black people can actually grow our hair in these sorts of ways. Because the white supremacists look at this and say, I can never do that. I can never have that. So the niggas can't have it too. Well, fuck y'all. Fuck y'all. We gonna continue to wear our hair that type of way, and y'all gonna educate us. We pay taxes in the United States. We deserve to go to school looking like this if we want to. Because y'all ain't say nothing to Davis and Ashton and Reagan and all the other dickheads who I had to go to school with who didn't pay attention in class, had hair all up in their face, had hair down to their shoulders, and nobody said nothing. Nobody said nothing to them. Gonna continue here. Barbers Hill, they're very strong willed, DeAndre Arnold told KHOU last month when asked about Darryl. They will do what they want to do, regardless of what anybody tells them, whether it be the Crown Act, whether it be me, whether it be anybody. Texas is a different world. If you're a black person in Texas and you're choosing to move there, you're insane. You're insane because you are putting your children literally in harm's way. You are putting your children in the line of fire against white supremacists who are going to destroy these children internally, make them ashamed of their own blackness, make them ashamed of actually wearing their hair their own goddamn way. Ain't that a goddamn shame? So Tahia Starker Glass, a professor of psychology and elementary education at the University of North Charlotte, told CNN in 2020 that dress codes like the one implemented by have nothing to do with hygiene and behavior. Instead, she said, of requiring that black students conform to white expectations. They already envisioned what the ideal child should look like in school, and they wrote the rules based on that. Absolutely embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing that people even think this is a good motivation for denying children the opportunity to learn. We have an ideal student, the ideal student. We have a particular look that we want for our students. They should be blonde. They should be blue-eyed. They should have, ivory skin. This is what they imagine. We will never be that. We can only be ourselves. And a black child should be able to be themselves and get educated in the United States of America. But unless you're going to tell me the United States of America is not meant for us, somebody tell me the United States of America is not meant for us. We're not able to get educated because this black child with his hair, he wants to go. We are not the ideal student, I guess. That's what you're saying here with this comment. That's what you're saying here if you're trying to justify Darryl George, the next Martin Luther King, the next Malcolm X, the next Obama. That's what you're saying here if you're saying that Darryl George does not fit the mold. He's not the right cultural fit for an education, I guess. Going to continue. David Bloom, a spokesman for the Barbers Hill School District, said the dress code has nothing to do with race. Of course, every time a white supremacist open up their motherfucking mouth, all they say is it has nothing to do with race. I just don't like niggers in their hair. That's what you're saying, David Bloom. Say it with your chest. This is the thing. The white supremacists are pussy. All the bitch ass niggas who jump in my comments and talk shit about racism in the world, they're pussy because you would not say anything is racist unless your mama got raped by a motherfucker who said he hated her because of her race. Fuck out of here. I hate you niggas. I hate you niggas, and I hate the white supremacists who dictate this sort of shit to children's lives in the United States of America and all over the goddamn world. Darryl George should be able to go to school, and David Bloom should be able to go to hell. Fuck David Bloom. Fuck all of the white supremacists who tell black children that they can't go to school because of their own goddamn hair. Are you serious? Are you serious right now? All right, David Bloom, a spokesman for the Barbers Hill has nothing to do with race and is not in conflict with the Crown Act on hair length, not the nature of the hairstyle. Most hair code violations, Bloom said, have come from white students. Lies, just straight up lies, just straight up lies. The white supremacists can just straight up lie out their own goddamn mouth. All right. In 2020, however, a lawyer at the Juvenile and Children's Advocacy Project of Texas reviewed old Barbers Hill yearbooks and discovered multiple examples of long haired white male students, according to the Texas Tribune. Fuck the state of Texas. The state of Texas can eat my big black ass. Fuck Texas. Fuck anybody that lives in Texas that's a white supremacist. I pray for the black people of Texas. Y'all need a savior. Y'all need Jesus to come down and start whooping on the white supremacist ass because they just straight up lie throughout their motherfucking teeth. The motherfucker David Bloom just, most of the violations come from white students. You open up the yearbook, every white boy look like he playing Van Halen. Are you playing with me right now? Stop playing with me, man. Reached by email, Greg Poole, the superintendent of Barbers Hill ISD, said the BHISD dress code is modeled on the idea of replicating the attributes of a team as part of effort to unify students distracted by iPhones. The student in question moved here from a neighboring school district that allows him to wear his hair any way he wishes, Poole wrote. Shortly after he moved here, we were contacted by a lawyer. You can deduce the rest. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. All right. Candace Matthews, a civil rights activist who is serving as a spokesperson for the George family, called the insinuation that the family moved to the district seeking a legal fight a typical racist response. Absolutely. Absolutely. The George family moved for personal reasons, as is their rights as Americans, she said. See, this is the thing. They're trying to Darryl George and his mama just wanted to move to my district to stir up trouble. You some trouble starting Negroes. The George family, Darryl and Darisha, y'all just wanted to come here and mess with the good white folks and the good black folks of Mount Bellevue, Texas. You need to go on now, go back to where you came from, Darryl. That's what they're trying to say to him. That's what they're trying to say to him. We as Americans, black Americans, have the right to go wherever we want, raise our children however we want, as long as it's safe, and allow our children to be themselves and get educated anywhere in this nation where we pay goddamn taxes. Oh, God, these white supremacists make me sick, especially Texas. Texas has to be the worst state in the nation. I'm standing on that. Texas is the worst state in the nation for not only black people, but for Americans in general. Texas is absolute trash. It's always hot. They ain't got no really good beaches. It's all flat land. It's full of racist crack-ass crackers. The only good thing about Texas is Mexican food. The only good thing about Texas is Mexican food and Beyonce and Megan Thee Stallion's knees. Those are the only good things about Texas. After that, everything is fucking trash in Texas. And it's full of racist ass crackers. I don't get it. I don't get it. How do you have Mexicans pouring into that state every single day and we still got dumbasses like Greg Abbott and David Bloom running the show? Man, I hope my nigga Darryl George gets so educated and he become the governor of Texas and he start whooping on some cracker asses. Yeah, I said it. I'm so pissed right now, man. This is America. Thank God I'm in Hungary. I'm ranting all this stuff and talking big shit about Texas, but fuck Texas because I will never go back to Texas. I'm going to stay my black ass abroad in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, but I will never go back to that hellhole y'all call the United States where black children can't even get educated because of their own goddamn hair. In the deep south, where most of us are. I know some dumbass is going to jump in the comments and say, oh, in Chicago, in New York, niggas can wear their hair any type of way they want in high school. Well, the most of us don't live there. You dumbass. Most of us don't come from LA, Chicago, New York, Miami. Nah, we're stuck in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky, stuck in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi, stuck in the middle of nowhere, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, all that other shit. All right. So black children everywhere need to be protected. They need to be allowed to do whatever they want to do with their hair and get educated as long as they are following the rules that do not violate the education of other students. Oh, I'm going to continue here. All right. In August, Darisha George submitted to the school a request for a religious exemption from the hair code, writing that men in her family wear locks to express their connection to their ancestry, which in turn maintains their relationship with a higher power. The request was provided to Texas Monthly by Matthews as an email in which Lance Murphy, the principal of Barbers Hill High School, rejected Darisha's request. In the email, Murphy wrote that Darisha had failed to provide evidence of any religious ceremony testimony relating to the length of Darryl's hair. Additionally, Murphy wrote, you indicated that there is not a religious entity nor religious leader guiding your son's study or practice other than his stepfather, who said it is not an ordained minister. Oh, besides his stepfather, who is not an ordained minister. So Darisha is trying her best to work within the system. She's trying to say, okay, my son grows his locks because, it connects him to his ancestors, which connects us to a higher power, which is absolutely real, by the way. A lot of black people have ancestor worship in our lineage, or, we revere our ancestors. White folks don't do that. White folks don't say, I call upon my ancestors to help me get through this day at work where I'm surrounded by all these racist crackers who don't know what the hell they're doing. No, they don't have to do that. We do that all the time. I ask my ancestors for help before I turn on this live stream, before I teach a class, before I do anything in life. I always talk to my ancestors, and I help, and they motivate me to keep on pushing. Straight up, straight up. But she's trying to play within the rules, but it's not really an actual, real argument, because, there are no religious significance to locks other than for the Rastas. The Rastas got that on lock, if that makes sense. No pun intended. But you know what? She's trying to play within the rules, and they're saying, nope, you need a religious figure. You need to worship white Jesus. You need to have some sort of church or symbol that you associate with these locks or something like that. And she ain't got nothing like that. But regardless, she shouldn't have to pull up the white man's religion. She shouldn't have to pull up some preacher or ordained minister to synchronize her son or sanctify her son's hair. Her right should be this: I am an American. I was born in this nation. I have a passport in this nation. I have a social security card in this nation. I am a citizen of this nation, and I'm descended from the people that built this goddamn nation. So let my son go to school and stop fucking with us. That's what she should say. Stop fucking with us, man. That's my religion. Jesus told me to tell you to eat my ass and let my son go to 5th grade math. Period. Going to continue. Matthews said school officials, particularly white ones, have no right or ability to define a black student's spiritual beliefs or make judgments about their relationship with their ancestry. Black culture is for black people to define, not white school officials engaging in discrimination, she said. Asked what qualifies Murphy, who is white, to make judgments about ethnic hairstyles and their connection to someone's spiritual life, a tradition that has been documented in cultures around the world for thousands of years. Poole said he was appalled by such a racist question. Poole referred to Murphy as an exceptional leader of one of the highest achieving schools in the state. We do not have an exception for not wanting to follow the rules, he wrote. We are currently in a federal lawsuit to determine if our policy is legal, and we have every reason to believe the rights of our community to set appropriate standards will be upheld. Even if the George family prevails, serious damage has already been done, according to Matthews. Darisha has long struggled with anxiety and suffers from epilepsy, which can result in her experiencing sudden, violent seizures. As in the case with many epileptics, Darisha's seizures are triggered by stress, which she has spent years learning to manage. But in recent weeks, she says she's been inundated by a new wave of seizures that has left her feeling like she's losing control of her body. See, I salute Darisha. I salute Darryl. I've been saying a lot of praise to Darryl, but I have to salute his mama, because his mama is a soldier. She's a poor woman. She's a black woman. She's a single mom in rural, racist, sucky ass Texas. And she is standing up to those forces that tell her, you got to tell your son to cut his hair so he can get an education. And we don't care about your religious exemptions. We don't care about your ancestors, you big black bitch. We don't care about none of that. That's what the racist white supremacists are telling her. We don't care about nothing that you hold sacred, you black woman. And she said, despite me being poor, despite me having a disability, despite me not having the means or resources to be able to fight against you racist crackers, I'm still standing by my son. That's a motherfucking mama. That's a mama right there. That's a real woman. That's not no bitch. That's not no hoe. That's not no nothing like that. Nobody should disrespect this woman. And all of our black women who advocate for their sons and speak up for their sons, who go against the white supremacist world that wants to hate on their sons. Shout out to Darryl's mama, because his mama is a G. She a gangster. Big gangster. Man, Darryl, if you're watching this, drop that PayPal, drop that Cash App, drop your Wise account. Man, drop your address. I'm going to put some money in your account, man, because you a hero. You a straight up hero. You a big dog, man. And your mama a gangster too. And everybody else who wants to hate on your family, tell them eat my ass. Tell them come find me. I'm going to come back to Texas just to whoop on some white supremacist ass for you, Darryl. You stay cool. You stay cool, Darryl. You go to school. You don't cut your locks. You keep on studying by yourself. We gonna find David Bloom. We gonna find all the white supremacists, and we gonna have a nice chat. But your mama a gangster, Darryl. Shout out to y'all. Y'all a real ass family. Y'all a trill ass family. Gonna continue here. So, several days after our interview, I learned Darisha would not be able to respond to follow up questions. She had been hospitalized, and Matthews had assumed power of attorney. Days earlier, when I spoke with Darisha in her home, she was overcome with frustration. This is a kid who wants to go to school, who wants to learn, who wants to do something with his life. And y'all, school officials, are pushing him back, she said. Y'all are telling him that because of the way he looks and the way he wears his hair. He can't be somebody in this world for what? What is the point of all this? The point of all of this is that they want to buck break your son. The point of all of this is that the white supremacists see a black man who has the audacity to decide what to do with his own body. They see a black man who has the audacity to tell them crackers, I don't want to cut my hair. My name is not Toby. My name is my name. My name is Darryl George, and I will not cut my hair. What are you going to do? They see a man that they cannot break. And that's why they want to break your son. That's why they want to do. I'll answer the question for you. They hate your son that he has bravery and that's the end of this article right here from the Texas Monthly. I just had to go back. There's a lot of story because this story was published on November 1st, 2023. Let's jump a little bit ahead of time. So we're going to go to December. When was this one? December 5th, 2023. So about a month later, black student in Texas is suspended over hair length again. Darryl George, who wears locks, had just returned to Barbers Hill High School in Texas after being sent to disciplinary school. Officials suspended him over his hair again on Tuesday. Absolutely insane. They are harassing this young man. Once again, shout out to Darisha. We love you, sister. Shout out to Darryl. I love you too, man. But fuck the white supremacists in Texas who want to stop a young black man from getting educated just because of his hair. Are we serious right now? Are we serious? Where are the white supremacists and racists at who jump in my comments every single day and say that there was no such thing as anti-black racism? Where are you pussies at now? Where you bitch-ass niggas at now, man? Because we are talking explicitly about white supremacy in play in 2024. It's not because of Darryl's culture. It's not because of Darryl's attitude. It's not because Darryl is a thug or a criminal. The white supremacists empower our thugs. The white supremacists empower our criminals. They are criminal in preventing this young 18-year-old boy from finishing high school. High school. Are we serious right now? People want to act like everything is cool and dandy right now. Everything is not cool and dandy right now, man. They are preventing our children from being themselves. They are preventing our children from being themselves in America. And we think this is okay. Absolutely not okay. Let's go. So Darryl George and his mother, Darisha, outside of Barbers Hill High School in Mount Bellevue, Texas. Fuck Texas. By Orlando Mayorkin. Darryl George, the Texas high school student who earlier this year was removed from school his hairstyle violated a dress code, was suspended again on Tuesday, the latest flashpoint in a months-long dispute over a school policy that has spilled into the courts. Mr. George, 18, had just returned to a class at Barbers Hill High School in Bellevue, roughly 30 miles east of Houston, after spending time at an disciplinary program where he had been sent over his violation of the school district's racist, I'm going to put it in there. It's not written in the New York Times, but I'm going to put it in there, in the school district's racist dress and grooming policy and other infractions. While in class, he was told he was in violation of the school dress code policy and was again referred to an in-school suspension. Candace Matthews, a spokeswoman for Mr. George's family, said in a statement, a school official imposed a 13-day in-school suspension on Mr. George. 13 days, 2 weeks, where he had to sit on a stool, do his homework sitting on a stool, not interact with other students, just because he didn't want to cut his hair, his own black-ass hair. Are we serious right now? Is this America? Is this the country all of you third worlders want to flee to? Is this the country that all you Africans want to suck the white man's dick to get into? Is this the country all you bitch ass niggas say there's the greatest nation on earth? It's a lie. It's a lie. America is trash. It's been trash. It's a hateful, racist, evil nation. Always will be. Always has been. Hateful to black life. Hateful to black expression. Hateful to black people. what Darryl George is going through is the absolute worst. It's satanic. It's absolutely satanic that a young black man can't have dreads in motherfucking Texas, the state that everybody thinks is the most free. You can have a gun at 18 in Texas. You can buy a motherfucking AR-15 at 18 in Texas, but you can't be an 18-year-old black man in Texas going to school with motherfucking dreads. Are you serious? And you bitch ass niggas jump in my comments every day and say that there is no racism against black people, and you blame black people for the shit we're going through, but you are silent on this. Suck my dick. Shout out to Darryl George, Martin Luther King of our generation. It won't be me. It won't be me, but Gen Z got a hero on their hands, and y'all need to protect Darryl George, and we need to motherfucking stomp on Texas. Straight up. Straight up. Let's go. Let's continue here. So the school imposed a 13-day in-school suspension on Mr. George, the second suspension he had received this year over violation of the dress code. Mr. George has spent most of his junior year, which began on August 16th, away from his regular classes. The case has captured the attention of state lawmakers and prompted Mr. George's family to sue state leaders in the school district in federal court. I hope they take him to court, and I hope they wipe the floor with him. You know, last night I watched Amistad with my wife, and Anthony Hopkins, playing John Quincy Adams, did a masterful job of defending Kinsey, the black slave who overthrew his slave masters. And in the Supreme Court of the United States, John Quincy Adams says Kinsey was a man and deserved every single right to fight for his freedom. I hope we get Anthony Hopkins out here to take Darryl George's case to the Supreme Court and wipe the floor with these racists in Texas. We need to kick these racists in Texas out of office, and we need to embarrass them at the highest court in our land. Period. These people need to be ashamed of themselves that they hate on black people this much, that a young black man can't wear his hair in America and go to school and get an education. Let's go. Mr. George's first suspension came in late August. He was placed in a cubicle away from the classroom, and work was brought to him there. According to his mother, Darryl George, in October following that suspension, he was transferred to a disciplinary school. A message sent to a Barbers Hill Independent School District was not returned on Tuesday evening. School officials say Mr. George's hair violates the dress code. Let me ask y'all this. If you were a principal and a young man came to school like this, would you kick him out? Would you kick him out? I know all the racists and white supremacists are really active in the comments. They love to talk big shit. But if you saw a young black man like this, would you kick him out of school? Would you say this is naturally a troublemaker? Is he naturally a thug? Is he naturally a gangster just because he's wearing his hair like this? Is he not just a young man trying to get his education? If you say yes, you're a racist. You have to be a racist because there's nothing inherently flawed about black people wearing our hair our own goddamn way. Stop it. School officials say Mr. George's hair violates the dress code, which mandates that a male student hair not extend at any time below the eyebrows or below the earlobes. Mr. George has a hairstyle in which he pins his locks on his head in a barrel roll. When pinned, Mr. George's locks do not extend below the eyebrows or below the earlobes. But officials have told his mother that her son's hair is still in violation of the policy because it would extend lower than allowed if let down. Okay, that's ridiculous. If he comes to school with his hair up, you have to wait until he lets his hair down to violate him. But if he doesn't, you cannot say anything. They're literally picking on this young boy. They are literally picking on this young boy. Stop it. What type of grown man has time for this? What type of grown man, grown principal has time to pick on this young boy for just wearing his own hair? The family argues in their lawsuit that the district policy violates the Crown Act, a new Texas law that bars schools and employers from discriminating against hairstyles, commonly or historically associated with race. Retta Andrews Bowers, a Democrat in the State House of Representatives who wrote the law, had in the past criticized the school district, saying its dress policy is an attempt to find loopholes and skirt the law. Miss Matthews, who is also the vice chair of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, said in a on Tuesday that the school district was exploiting the law's vague language to push their racial discrimination agenda towards our children. The family was working with state lawmakers to amend the law so that it explicitly deals with the question of hair length. Miss Matthews said, this is the thing, man. White supremacists are so sick. So they pass a law. They allow the Crown Act to pass, allowing a kid like Darryl George to go to school with his hair unencumbered, unbothered. But yet and still, after this ray of hope, the white supremacists say, let's just fuck with the nigga some more. Let's fuck with them more. Let's say the hair length. Yeah, if he lets his his hair down. That's a problem. They just want to continue to break us in America, continue to break us just for being black and great. We won't let them do it. We won't let them do it because niggas like Darryl George are going to stand up and fight against the white supremacists. And shout out to his mama, too, for being a gangster. But God damn, what type of sick people are the white supremacists in Texas? What type of sick people are the white supremacists in Louisiana, in Arkansas, in Mississippi, in Missouri, in Kentucky, in Georgia, in Virginia, in Florida, too? Why are they so sick? Why? Why? We ain't do nothing to nobody. All we did was build America. Yet and still, our children can't even go to school this way. But where are the racists now? Where are the racists now who say that there is no anti-black racism in the world? But this young black man can't go to school. He can't go to school because of his own hair. You are sick and racist if you think that this is okay. You're absolutely sick. So the family was working with state lawmakers to amend the law so that it explicitly deals with the question of hair length. Miss Matthews said. Ron Reynolds, a Democrat in the state house and chair of the Texas legislature Black Caucus, said the Crown Act was meant to protect hairstyles regardless of length, adding that he would introduce an amendment to clarify that in the next legislative session. They are acting in bad faith to continue discriminating against African American students, he said in a statement provided by Miss Matthews. According to the citation issued to Mr. George on Tuesday, he will be allowed to return to his regular classes if he corrects his dress code violation. Fuck your schools. Fuck they schools. We don't need to go to their schools, man. Your schools are trash. It's absolutely trash. I know Texas is well renowned for their education system, but come on now. This is absolute trash. You're going to teach me to learn about your gods, your history, your culture, and hate myself by making me cut my hair. Absolutely not. I would not do it. This was written by Orlando Mayor-Quinn. Shout out to him for covering this for the New York Times. Usually they don't cover stories like this, but I'm so glad they did. Now, this was written in December. This was published on December 5th, 2023. First story that we read was published on November 1st, 2023. Let's jump a bit more ahead of time. This is from January 24th, 2024. So what's happening now in the story of Darryl George? Barbers Hill Independent School District. Suspended student will meet in court regarding Crown Act issues. This was written by Shakari Briggs for the Houston Chronicle. All the links will be in the description, but they're not hard to find. Once again, shout out to Darryl George. I don't know if that's his mom or if that's his attorney, but she fine. She fine. And yeah, shout out to Darryl George for still standing strong. Still got them locks in. I know his scalp is killing him. Boy, I know it's killing him. And the thing about locks is it's expensive. You can't be no broke boy having locks, man. You either got to have a down ass girl who's willing to twist them up once a week, if not twice. And yeah, you got to have some money, because if you don't have a girl, you got to go to the salon every 2 weeks at least and drop $40. And that was $40 when I had locks back in like 2009. I'm pretty sure to have locks now, every retwist is at least $100 now. Facts. I'm pretty sure his family finds a way to make that work, because I'm sure Darryl is like, I don't even want locks no more. But he's a civil rights icon because he's keeping them locks in his head, even though he probably don't want them no more. He's like, I'm gonna do this for my dogs. I'm doing this for my dogs. Well, shout out to you, Darryl, for standing up for our people. You are the realest. You are the trillest. You a G. You a G. You a G. They're going to name a holiday after you, man. They're going to name a holiday after you. Shout out to Darryl right here again. So let's go here. So, Barbers Hill Independent School District's ongoing dispute with a black student about his hair will soon take center stage in a Chambers County courtroom after playing out in the media for months. Judge Chap B. Kane III. Why does every judge in the US, if they're like in some small district, is like has like a third in their name, or senior or junior? I know it's like hereditary, passing down wealth and status and privilege in America, but goddamn, are even the judges incestuous? Is there rampant nepotism in the judicial system too in America? My God. So anyway, Judge Chap B. Kane III on Wednesday set a trial date for February 22nd to determine whether the school district is following the Crown Act, which protects students against discrimination over their hairstyles. The district filed for a declaratory judgment following a months-long public battle that reached a boiling point when the Barbers Hill ISD superintendent on January 14th took out a full-page print ad in the Chronicle to present his position on how Darryl George's locks were not protected by the law because it doesn't address hair length. What type of little dick man are you? Oh my God. Oh my God. David, what was your name? What was his name? David Brooks, Tim Brooks. I forgot exactly your name. What was the intendant's name? Jesus Christ, what type of little dick man does that? You can't back down from number one, violating the law. You are violating the Crown Act. That is the law in the state of the land. You guys are all about law and order. Follow the law. Comply, comply, comply. But you won't follow the law, but instead you want to go to the media and embarrass a 17, 18-year-old boy about his hairstyle, and while you are preventing him from going to school. What type of little dick shit is this? Not talking about Darryl George. I'm talking about the superintendent of a school picking on a child, picking on a motherfucking child. You are picking on a child and trying to shame him for his life because he wants to wear his hair his own way and go to school. What type of man are you? What type of man are you, man? You gotta be a hoe. You gotta be a hoe. You gotta be the worst. You're the worst type of man that ever walked this earth. So, members of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, State Rep. Retta Andrews Bowers, the author of the Crown Act, Rep. Ron Reynolds, co-author of the Crown Act, and Darryl George's attorney, Ali Booker, hosted a Wednesday news conference to refute claims Poole made in the print advertisement. Darryl George and his mother, Darisha. Shout out to all the black bourgeoisie, elected officials coming out and representing for the people, fighting for a good cause. See, we need these stories to be advocated more because a lot of the times we think our bourgeoisie, our elected officials, they actually don't care about us, but it seems like they're fighting on the right side of history. They're advocating for this young black man who wants to actually make a change, and I hope we actually do see this change happen. Let's continue. So we are here today because we are standing in the gap for Darryl George and his family in reference to the Crown Act, said Candace Matthews, Texas Coalition of Black Democrats state chair. We are here because racism has reared its ugly head again, and this time we're dropping the hammer of accountability and the scale of justice. Yes, I love it. I love it. Yes, I love it. So during the news conference, Matthews accused officials at Barbers Hill ISD of throwing away grievance forms from George, his mother, and Matthews. Matthews said she stepped in on behalf of Darisha George to file grievances since the ongoing issue had become too much for George. Darryl George has been through a lot this entire process, said Matthews. I mean, this process has been a fiasco in reference to Barbers Hill ISD. We've dealt with racism, we've dealt with retaliation, and we've dealt with civil rights being violated when it comes to due process with the grievances. I want to ask all of you this question. If we were sitting here, if we were sitting here talking about a white boy who had his hair long, if we were talking about a white boy who had his hair long and he got kicked out of high school because his hair was to his neck, do you think the rest of the world would turn up and say, what the hell are y'all doing? At a public school, not a private school, not a charter school, not some weird program, a public school in America. Do you think the rest of the world, the rest of the country would say, y'all better let that boy back in school? But because we're talking about a young black man who did not break the law, who did not break the rules of the school, he followed the law of the state of Texas, and he is still denied the opportunity to get education. Where are all the people talking now? Where is everybody talking now? There's a lot going on in this world, I know. We got all the black people rallying for Palestine. We got all the black people rallying for LGBTQIA plus issues. We got all the black people fighting and dying about trans people and feminism and all sorts of stupid shit. We got black people fighting online about Cat Williams versus Dave Chappelle, or what's the next way we're going to shame Puff Daddy. We got all black people get all riled up about all sorts of shit. And then the white supremacists and the K-double-O ass, coon ass niggas outside want to say that black people have a problem in our culture and that sort of stuff, and hip hop is the devil and all that sort of stuff. You got a whole bunch of people, whole bunch of black people more focused on entertainment, celebrity, gossip, all that other bullshit. Meanwhile, our actual children at schools, number one, are being shot up at schools because we allow guns to permeate in our society. But on top of that, black children, young black boys, are being taught to hate themselves and not able to live their full lives in America's public school system. Are we serious right now? Are we absolutely serious? Are we really serious about actually making a change for our children, for a better world, for black people and black life? Are we really talking about that? Are we absolutely really serious about that, or is that just talk? What we want to do is sit online and talk more about Cat Williams. What did Cat Williams say now? What did Cat Williams say now? What did Cat Williams say about this? What did Cat Williams say about a young black boy in Texas not able to finish high school just because he has hair? The God given 4C hair that grew out of his black ass scalp. Y'all ain't got nothing to say about that. Are we serious right now? Are we serious? I guess Palestine takes up too much of our brain space, right? Gonna jump ahead. District spokesman David Bloom. That's who it was. David Bloom, bitch ass David Bloom. Fuck David Bloom and fuck his mama and fuck his grandmama too. District spokesman David Bloom on Thursday told the Chronicle in an email no grievances were discarded, adding, any family who files a grievance is always given a written response explaining why the grievance was denied. With the help of State Rep Bowers, Democrat of Dallas, Texas, joined more than 20 states to enact legislation protecting people from race-based discrimination against protective hairstyles and hair texture. In May 2023, Governor Greg Abbott signed the Crown Act. This is something that's good. I'm actually surprised Greg Abbott signed it into law. Prohibiting race-based hair discrimination in workplaces, schools, and in housing policies. The bill received bipartisan support. Bowers said it brought men and women in the House and Senate together for once in the state of Texas. So generally, everybody agrees, hey, let's not hate on black people's hair. But the white supremacists in power, and I'm pretty sure Louisiana did not pass the Crown Act, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not going to die on that. But still, the white supremacists in America operate in shadows. In these small counties, in these small towns that dot the entire nation, where black people are living under white supremacist domination and occupation, the white supremacists are still doing this in schools. Trust and believe. Trust and believe. If I go to my high school, Neville High School, where I went, I'm pretty sure now there are not black kids walking around with braids or dreads or anything like that, because I come from nowhere middle of America. Come from nowhere middle of America. I'm the real American right here. I'm the real everyman. I done seen it all. I know the real true heart and soul of this nation. Because you don't know this nation if you don't grow up in the bottom of this nation, in the bumfuck parts of this nation, surrounded by racist crack ass crackers and coon ass niggas who are caping for them and supporting them and hating on black life. You will not know real America until you come to Louisiana. You will not know it. And what happened? What is happening to this young Louisiana man? This young Louisiana boy who went to the heart of Texas. Oh, it's the same there too. The white supremacists still rule the day. Rule the day. So let's continue here. I filed it to stop exactly the kind of discrimination that we are seeing right here in Barbers Hill ISD, said Bowers. Crown in the Crown Act stands for creating an open and respectful world for natural hair. Beautiful. The Barbers Hill Independent School District is punishing Darryl George for one reason: his choice to wear his hair in a protective style which harms no one and causes no distraction in the classroom. That was the number one thing they told us when I was in school at Neville. They said, oh, if black people wear our hairs in natural ways, it will cause a distraction. Why? Because the hoes gonna choose on us? Because the little white girls gonna choose on us? You don't want the little white girls hopping on black soul pole? Is that why? Is that why you don't want the niggas coming to school shining and stunting on y'all? Is that why y'all don't want us wearing braids and dreads and shit like that? Because you know Lil Allie, Lil Sally, Lil Katie gonna hop up on a brother. They gonna choose up on a brother because we know how to style on them. Meanwhile, Travis and Derek are got swiping the bangs out their face, can't pull no hose. Is that why? Is that why? Is that why? That has to be why. Because it's not causing a distraction for us to have hair. It's not causing us a distraction to have hair. It's only a distraction for you because the white supremacists are obsessed with us. They have Negro philophobia. They are obsessed with the black body. They think black people wearing this hair some type of way is intimidating because you know the number one thing that they used to do to slaves, when they brought the slaves in, they cut their hair off. The first thing they did for any black person, they shaved all their hair off, and they were forbidden to grow the hair that they had like when they were living in Africa, or pass those traditions on and that sort of stuff. Policing black hair has been a part of the buck breaking process of creating the black American. But we will always fight back, and we have always fought back, and we will continue to fight back. And Darryl George is a young black man who is the next MLK who will fight back and gain his right to get an education. He is a civil rights icon. He is a leader. He is who Gen Z should follow. Not whatever Kardashian popped out next. Not whatever celebrity dropped a hot rap song. He is the next generation's MLK. I swear to tell you. I'm telling y'all, man, this nigga the truth. He the truth because he's got more courage than what I had when I went to Neville High School. I told them crackers I would not salute your racist ass flag. I wish I told them that when I got suspended for that. I wish I told them that sort of shit, that I'm not going to back down and I'm not going to apologize for not saluting your racist ass flag, which I got suspended for. I wish I told them that. I wish I did that instead of for my civil rights as a United States citizen, but I didn't. I was pussy. I was a bitch. I was a bitch, and I hate myself for that. But Darryl George will never have that feeling that I had because he a real ass nigga. He a real ass motherfucking civil rights icon. He ain't like me, a hoe ass nigga who eventually apologized because I had a final and an exam. So I told them crackers, I'm sorry that I didn't salute your racist ass Nazi flag. I wish I told him that, but I didn't. And I'm a hoe. I will forever be a bitch ass nigga for doing that. And I hate myself for that. But Darryl George won't do that because he gonna get his education, he gonna ball on him, and he gonna come back and he gonna smack the shit out of the superintendent at this school. I swear to God, I hope he does. I hope he does. I'm gonna continue here. We're almost done with this live stream, but we're wrapping everything up. So in December, the Chronicle reported that George was placed in an alternative school for the second time in months. George, who wears his hair in dreadlocks pinned up in a barrel roll, completed a 7-week-long suspension and was sent back to an in-school suspension for violation of the school policy. At the time of the suspension in October, Poole told the Chronicle confidentiality does not allow us to disclose the infractions that caused his current disciplinary placement, but it was unequivocally not caused because of his hair. That's a lie. Y'all picking it on him because of his hair. Just straight lying. I don't trust anything a white supremacist says. They straight up lie. An emailed statement from Poole on Thursday reiterated that district leadership feels certain the district's dress code does not violate the Crown Act. The law was never intended to allow unlimited student expression. Yeah, it wasn't meant for that. It wasn't meant for students to come to school naked. It wasn't meant for students to come to school, burning stuff down. It wasn't meant for students to come to school and do drugs. What it was meant was for students to not be discriminated because of their black ass hair. But you're violating that. You want to violate the law. If these people want to violate the law, they should be arrested. So Bloom's email stated the ad placed in the Chronicle would serve as the district's statement going forward. According to its handbook, the district prohibits male students from having hair below the eyebrows or below the earlobes, and they cannot have hair below the top of a t-shirt collar or be gathered or worn in a style that would allow the hair to extend below the top of a t-shirt collar, below the eyebrows or below the earlobes when let down. I stand unequivocally with Mr. and with his family, said Bowers. I want to say that Barbers Hill ISD is stealing his experience and breaking the law. It is a long past time for justice to be served and for Mr. George to rejoin his class and be removed from this outrageous in-school suspension. So Rep. Ron Reynolds, a Democrat of Missouri City, said Barber Hills ISD's previous disciplinary action against former student DeAndre Arnold led him and his colleagues to file the Crown Act. In 2020, DeAndre's mother, Sandy Arnold, and Cindy Bradford sued the sued the district, alleging its grooming policies violated the First and 14th Amendment rights and equated to racial discrimination. Officials told Arnold if he didn't cut his locks, he would not participate in graduation ceremony. Rather than cut his hair, Arnold transferred to another school district. That's smart. If you're a black person with a child who's going through a situation like that, try to get them into another school that would allow them to be black and free rather than letting them stay there. Or, you know what? Not everybody can be Darryl George. Not everybody's brave like him and his mama to actually fight that case. Get your kids out of that school or just generally leave America where we can be free and happy and prosperous. Barbers Hill is continuing to perpetuate discriminatory intent in subjecting their students to conforming to what? Said Reynolds. Conforming to what you think is socially acceptable? What kind of message are you sending to African American students? That you have to straighten your hair, you have to conform and be like you're a white student? No, we should not. Absolutely. That's what they're implying. That's absolutely what they're implying. George's family filed a complaint with the Texas Education Agency and a federal civil rights lawsuit against Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton. They allege neither Abbott nor Paxton enforced the Crown Act based on the district's continued punishment of George. Bowers and Reynolds said they may try to amend the law in the next legislative session to add further protections, but don't believe that step should be necessary. The Crown Act, as it is written, as it is law, is clear. Locks, bantu knots, twists, braids, wash and goes, blowouts, however you wish to wear your hair, wigs should be accepted, and gender identity should not matter. If they even allow in the Crown Act for a boy to come to school with a wig, or a boy to come to school with a perm, or a boy to come to school with long braids that touch down to his back. If that was written into the Crown Act, then definitely Darryl George's style should be allowed. Should be allowed. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with this young boy's hair. I've made this point explicitly clear. But too many people hate black people, hate black people. There is a world full of people that hate black people because nobody is speaking up and advocating for this story in mass. And there's not enough people who want to say, oh, no more racism exists in the world, but they are silent about this story. What is this then? What is this? A young black boy with braids that follow the rules of the laws of the state of Texas is not allowed to the school, but y'all won't consider that racism. Y'all want to be silent about this. Suck my dick. Suck my dick, everybody who wants to hate on this young man. Period. 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 Now, I know I've been very harsh on the school district and the superintendent and the people that, are fighting against Darryl George. Let's hear what they actually have to say. Let me see. Let me see if they actually have any merit in their arguments. This is the last article we will read today. Hopefully it's still here. Hopefully I don't have to pay for the subscription to the Washington Post or anything. This was written by Dan Rosenwig Ziff for the Washington Post, published on January 23rd, 2024. Superintendent praises conformity in defense of suspending black teen. Absolutely insane. So let's go here. After a Texas superintendent took out a newspaper ad to defend the continued suspension of Darryl George over the way he wears his hair, the black teen's family filed a third request for a religious exemption to allow him to return to school months after he was originally disciplined. I don't think they need to go the religious exemption route. I don't know why they keep on doing that. They need to say this is a civil rights case, and on top of that, we are following the laws of the Crown Act. Y'all can't do this to us. The law says you can't do this to us. Doesn't matter about our religion. We could be atheists for all you care. Stop discriminating against them. They are not breaking the law. I don't know why they're going for the religious exemption route. Anyway, George's family sued the state's governor and attorney general in September, alleging that the state failed to enforce a new law that prohibits hair discrimination when the high school junior was suspended because the district said his hair was too long. George has been repeatedly suspended and disciplined since. Being an American requires conformity with the positive benefits of unity. So, that's bullshit. Bullshit. Now we know the real name of the superintendent, Greg Poole. No, being an American is not about conforming to the national standards or laws. If that was the case, we would all be needing bleaching skin. We should all dye our hairs blonde and put blue contacts in our eyes and say how we hate the Mexicans now. No, America has never been about conforming or assimilating. It's been about oppressing black folks, number one. And two, about being yourself. The idea of America is not that we should be something that we're not. It's that we are being the best that we can actually be, being the truest version of ourselves. And there's nothing more true about a black person than the natural hair that grows out of their head. So stop trying to police our hairs. Stop trying to police our bodies. Stop trying to tell us how to live. That's what being an American is about. This is the land of freedom and opportunity and civilization that has no bounds or no conformities. We are not a racial class. We are not an ethnic class. We are not a religious group. An American is about having an idea, and the idea that you can be who you want to be. But y'all won't let Darryl George be who he wants to be, even though he's following the law and even though y'all are breaking the law. What does that say about y'all? What does that say about this stupid ass country y'all call America? Fuck Texas. Texas is trash. If you're from Texas, tell Texas to eat my ass. Only thing good in it is burritos and enchiladas. After that, it's all trash, ran by a bunch of white supremacists. And you got a bunch of Nigerian coons out there too. But I ain't talking about them. I ain't talking about that. Let's really talk about what's happening in the United States of America. People that say racism doesn't exist, but y'all allow an 18-year-old boy to not be able to graduate high school because y'all keep on fucking with him. Y'all keep on fucking with him. Grown ass men fucking with this young boy. Are you serious right now? Are you serious right now, man? So, I'm going to continue here. Greg Poole, the superintendent, in a January 14th full page advertisement in the Houston Chronicle referencing dress code at military academies. This is not a military academy, it's a public school, you bitch. Are you serious? Referencing military academies as an example, he said, demonstrated the importance of rigorous standards. If this was a military academy, I would have not done this live stream. This is not a military academy. Newsflash, you fascist faggot. Newsflash, this is a public school. You have to follow the laws of the United States of America. You do not get to base your ideas about military academies and dress codes and the chiseled white men and all your sick fantasies about making people conform and stuff like that. Are you serious? Are you serious? This is literally what they wrote. Grown men picking on this boy, preventing him from being who he wants to be. Oh man. The ad ran after the Chronicle published an editorial criticizing the district's actions. Poole wrote that the suspension was based on George's hair length, not style, which he argued is not protected under the Crown Act passed last year. He added that despite our relatively small percentage of African American students, the district has a progressive history, pointing to black school board members in the 1970s and now who help set policy. All right, number one, I hate, nothing makes me more mad than when white folks point out, I had a black friend, or we've always been very progressive, or me and us and the blacks in this community have always got along. Here's something about the South that nobody else will say on YouTube. Here's the absolute truth about the South that nobody will say on YouTube. A lot of the black folks who are in positions of power there acquiesce to white supremacy. They acquiesce to white supremacy and they do not want to rock the boat. They just wanted a piece of the pie of the government money, government jobs, government contracts that are out there in the southern states, right? So just because you have a black person on the school board, that does not mean that they are advocating for black issues. This is why fighting against white supremacy is about the mind. It's not about the color. We can have 100 million black people, but if only 10 million of us actually love black people and we do not worship the white man and we fight white supremacy every single day and night, then we're going to get nowhere. The majority of us have to be on code, have to be anti-white supremacists, and definitely advocate for our people in situations like this. So I don't care how many black people are on the school district, Mr. Poole. It does not matter. It does not matter if them niggas were not actually making changes so that Darryl George wouldn't be going through this in 2024. I'm going to continue here. So the Barbers Hill Independent School District superintendent also wrote that other black students have received religious exemptions for the school's dress code, which he said allows braids, locks, and twists, but requires that boys' hair must not extend past their eyebrows and earlobes. George wears locks that do not go below his earlobes, and family representatives said they had applied twice for that exemption, but were denied. The district has said George's hair is longer than allowed when let down. Absolutely a shame. And this is George Poole here. What a hoe. What a hoe, man. I hope his wife gets fucked by 20 niggas, man. Seriously. The men in our family show they locks as a sign. The men in our family show their locks as a sign of connection with our roots and ancestors, which keeps us connected and closer to the higher power, God, wrote Darisha George, Darryl's mother, in an exemption form filed Tuesday, viewed by the Washington Post. I really don't like how they say show they locks. That's not cool. Y'all could correct that. It showed their locks. I'm pretty sure she didn't write that, but I'm pretty sure that's a typo or possibly somebody purposely trying to make her sound less intelligent by including that in there or making that mistake on purpose. Going to continue here. The mother also filed on Tuesday a complaint calling for the Texas Education Agency to investigate the districts while alleging that school officials failed to turn in previous grievances to the district. The BHISD previously told the family that its representatives it would not provide another denial memo, according to emails shared with the Post. The request is the latest in a months-long conflict between the family, which says they are facing discrimination because they are black, and the district, which says that it is enforcing a hair length requirement that extends to all students. The dispute is taking place in Mount Bellevue, Texas, a town of almost 9,000, about 30 miles east of Houston. This is the thing, man. There's so much rampant racism and white supremacy happening in America, but of course, most Americans don't know about it because it's not happening happening in the big cities. I swear to God, it's happening like in places like my hometown, Monroe, happening in Shreveport, happening in Bastrop, happening in Mount Bellevue, Texas, and all the other small towns that dot the Texas countryside, and of course in the big cities too. But a lot of the stuff that's breaking the souls of these young black men all across America who grow up in these small towns, are events like this that go underreported, and where too many people acquiesce, and where too many people submit and they don't fight back. But I'm so glad Darryl George and Dorisha George are fighting back against these people. So this is a pretextual excuse, said Ali Booker, the family's attorney. The truth is that they allow white males to wear their hair long, not just black ones. It's about race and nappy coarse hair being long. Booker and Candace Matthews, the state chair of the Texas Coalition of Black Democrats, spoke to the Post on the family's behalf because they said George's mother has had a mental breakdown because of the case. Matthews added that George has considered giving up the fight and cutting his hair because of the effect the drawn-out saga has had on his family. He has had so far refused, though, to cut his hair. He should not cut his hair, and I cannot wait till the movie is made about him. We have to find the right character to do it. I would vote for Damson Idris. Damson is much darker than this brother. But I think it will be dope for Damson to do it. I love Damson Idris. He's one of the best actors we have right now. And I think he needs to get more shine. So they're going to make a movie about you, Darryl. You just hold on. Hold on. Be strong. Anyway. So, on Wednesday, a hearing in Chambers County District Court could set a date for a possible injunction. Neither the school district nor the Barbers Hill Education Foundation, a nonprofit that paid for the ad, immediately responded to a request for a comment Tuesday. Texas is one of at least 24 states that have passed a version of the Create a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair Act, also known as the Crown Act, to address discrimination that Black people, in particular, have faced in the workplace or at school. Across the country, civil rights advocates have said that school, hair, and dress codes have the potential to discriminate along racial, cultural, or religious lines and enforce outdated gender stereotypes. State Rep. Ron Reynolds, Democrat, who co-wrote the Texas law and has noted that many natural hairstyles need to be certain length, said the school district is bucking the law meant to protect students like George. He called on the district to revise its dress code and end the disciplinary actions. It should be a shame and a tragedy that state senators have to get involved to advocate for this young man. A state senator has to come down and talk to a school board to do its job and follow the law. That's insane. Absolutely insane. They are trying to argue that there is a loophole in the law, that it doesn't cover length, which is nonsense, said Reynolds, who chairs the Texas Legislative Black Caucus. He added that the full-page advertisement was a PR attempt to deflect the fact that they're violating Texas law. Poole said in the newspaper ad that the district asked a court to determine whether the dress code violates the Crown Act. Reynolds told the Post that if the court rules that the district can continue suspending George, family representatives could appeal the decision. He added that legislators would rewrite the law next session if necessary. 3 years before the Crown Act passed, the same school suspended DeAndre Arnold and Caden Bradford for keeping their hair in dreadlocks. Both students were placed on in-school suspension, and if they didn't cut their hair, risked being forced to move schools. Arnold, 18 at the time, ultimately transferred districts, while Bradford, then 16, sued the district, alleging the policy violated his civil rights. In 2021, a federal court prevented the district from enforcing the policy against Bradford in an injunction. The case is pending. Wow, wow, wow. Just because they have a case on one kid, I don't know why the school district would do it to another kid. Why are they doing this to Darryl George, knowing it got y'all in trouble the last time y'all did it to a student? Absolutely makes no sense. Ultimately, this is an issue of local control and deciding who should be setting the policies, goals, and expectations of our school district. Poole wrote in the ad, litigation is not about what is best for students. Reynolds said the district is sending the wrong message to students about who can be successful. He added that Poole's claim of local control mirrors how states used to defend not following federal civil rights related. They're trying to make their African American students conform to European students. Said. Meanwhile, they're not conforming to the law that we passed. Shout out to Dan Rosenweig Ziff for writing this article. Great article here. And that is the end of the reading for today. My final words are this. Fuck the United States of America. Fuck the United States of America. Fuck Texas. Fuck any white supremacist in the South who is in power and dictating the lives over black children when going to school, and you are not allowing them to be themselves. I hate the over policing that is happening to our children in these schools. I hate that they are trying to enforce this sort of self hate into our children. And if you are a black person in the United States of America and you are not speaking up for Darryl George, I want to say shame on you, because y'all are too busy online talking about Cat Williams versus Dave Chappelle or Puffy or Cassie and all this other BS. Meanwhile, black children in schools all across the country are being told they cannot get an education because they have braids, because they have afros, because they have locks, because they have barrel rolls, all sort of stuff like this. And for all you white supremacists who jump into my comments and say every single motherfucking day there is no racism in the world, there is no anti-black discrimination in the world, but you are silent on stories like this, suck my big black dick once again. Once again, fuck the United States, fuck Texas, fuck Mount Bellevue School District. Fuck all them people. YouTube does not like my channel. Nobody likes my channel anyway. I ain't got no views. I got nobody in the chat. I got nobody talking to me, but I still come out here every single motherfucking day and advocate for my people. And nobody deserves more praise than Darryl George. A man who makes me feel like less of a man because he is doing something that I should have did. I've told the story multiple times how I got suspended from school because I refused to salute that American Nazi flag, that red, white, and blue, that old glory. I said I should have told the school district, suck my dick. I ain't gonna do it. But I buckled and I folded under pressure after 2 days suspension, and I went back to school and apologized to that cracker teacher who was racist against me. But Darryl George is a much better Louisianan, a much better American than me. Even if he don't want his dreads right now, he's holding on to his hair. He's holding on to his dignity. He's holding on to his manhood as a black man and fighting for something that's greater than him. That's why he is a hero. That's why he is a greater man than I'll ever be. And we can only try to be as great of a man as Darryl George. For real, for real, for real. Y'all might find this silly. Y'all might find this stupid. Y'all might wonder, Simon, why ain't you talking about Brick Lady? Simon, why ain't you talking about the new celebrity gossip? Why ain't you talking about Megan Thee Stallion talking real spicy to Nicki Minaj? Why ain't you talking about all the other stuff black people are supposed to talk about? YouTube is telling me that too. YouTube monetizes every single time I talk about hip hop, even if I'm cursing in the video, even if I'm saying wild stuff in the video. But as soon as I start talking about politics and black empowerment and fighting against white supremacy, everything gets demonetized, everything gets limited ad reviews, nothing gets pushed. And y'all don't support it either. But that's something about y'all. We're going to still be on here. We're still going to advocate for our people. We're still going to talk big and fight against these white supremacists who hate our children. Period. It's not okay for a black child to have his hair in his natural way and not get educated at a United States of America public school. But that's why Texas is a trash ass state. And I will never step my black ass in Texas. You will never, ever, 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 ever see me even thinking, entertaining the idea of living in Texas. You got me fucked up. Absolutely fucked up. Gonna jump into the chat. The only message for today. Act Dennis Shaheen Hill says, long live Darryl George. God save Darryl George. Absolutely, man. A straight up hero. And that's where we're gonna wrap it up for today. Shout out to everybody who might